what advice do you give your soon-to-be teenage daughter, and what advice would you give yourself back, back in the day?
Good question. I always say, it's follow that intuition, right? Your heart knows what feels right and what doesn't. And it will never steer you wrong if you pay attention to it and if you listen to it. And so that's really, we ask our kids, so I have 3 kids, they're 8, 10, and 12. And we'll ask them often, what does your heart say? What do you feel? And hopefully really teaching them to pay attention and to listen to that. I don't know. Well, I know that I wasn't taught that in those words, but again, there was just a part of me, I would say, that intuitively knew that, okay, you're pushing up against that boundary here. This isn't right. And sometimes you choose to follow that path. And many times I didn't, right? Because I knew what was important to me. So I think that's what's important to you, and what does that look like, and what decision do you want to make here? And you're going to have to live with the consequences of that decision, positive or negative. That's really the piece. Yeah.
So I love that. And what advice would you have for listeners who don't know what's important to them? Maybe they've spent their entire life and they've never either felt safe, they didn't learn how to, but they don't have that relationship yet with their heart in that way that guides them. How would you suggest that they learn how to connect with that?
Oh, that's a great question. So the person who maybe isn't as in tune to that, and it's really developing a relationship with that innate knowing. And so first of all, I think it's important for everybody to know it's within you. If it's been developed or not, it's within you and you have access to it. And so building your belief that inner guidance is there. And we know it, right? We know when we say things like, oh, I knew better. Something just feels off here. And, oh, I shouldn't have done that. And, right? We have it. It's just, are we listening? And one of the best ways that I know to develop that is to ask it questions and pay attention. We've got this perfect guidance system in our nervous system. And we're so brilliantly designed that our nervous system reacts when we're on the right path. We feel good. We feel in alignment. We feel happy. And when we're off of that, we feel anxious. We feel worried. Right? It's kind of a shrinking feeling. And so I would say pay attention more to how you're feeling and trust it, and start to ask it questions. Should I go here? Should I do this? What should I have for dinner? Is this person, are they for my best and highest interest? And just notice what your body is telling you. It shows up for each of us differently. Sometimes we see images, we can feel it in our gut. Sometimes it shows up in dreams, right? But it's talking to you. It's our job to pay attention to it and start noticing it.
So true. And one of the things that I offer to people is to even start with something really, really simplistic and easy. So for some people, maybe the question is, would I love coffee or would I love tea? Whereas what would you love to drink, or what would you like to drink, can feel a bit like overwhelming almost when you're sometimes at the start of the very beginning of the process. Have you ever experienced that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the either or is a great way to do it, right? What does my body need from me right now? Water or a coffee? And there's a part of it, well, no, I really want the coffee, but my body's saying water or tea, right? And we're not always going to listen, but at least you're noticing it. You're noticing it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then to that, I would also, invite in, I'm sure you would say the same, is absolutely, we can notice it. And sometimes we're going to make the choice that's not in our highest good. And we can actually do that without beating ourselves up.
Yes, that's the key, right? Because as soon as we beat ourselves up, we go into resistance. And as soon as we go into resistance, we're no longer living our fullest potential. And so, yeah, make that choice. Say, you know what? I get it, but here's what I'm choosing anyways. And I'm going to enjoy that cupcake while I'm eating it or whatever it is.
Cupcakes, plural, perhaps.
Yeah.
So for people who are on the journey of becoming their own heroine, often I find that there is forgiveness work that needs to happen. So I would love to hear your thoughts about that, your experience in guiding people through that process.
Being that heroine of your own life really requires letting go of victimhood and victim energy. And as long as we're living in a place of this happened to me, this person did this to me, what we're really saying is somebody else is responsible for my life. And I'm at the mercy of other people's decisions and actions, and we're giving our power away. And so what forgiveness and why forgiveness is so powerful is what we're really doing is we're saying, hey, this happened, but I have the power to choose what story I'm going to tell myself about it and to take my power back. And one of the biggest things and misconceptions I believe about forgiveness is we think that when we forgive somebody, we're letting them off the hook. We're saying what you did is okay. And that's really not what forgiveness is. It's saying this happened and I'm choosing to be that heroine of my life here. I'm choosing not to let this dictate my future. I'm not going to give this energy anymore. And I'm really taking that power back and choosing what to do from here. And I've had a few moments in my life where it would have been really easy to say, look what they did to me. This isn't fair. And to hang on to that. And I know if I wouldn't have forgiven and let it go, I would not be where I am today. Because when we're carrying that resentment, we're carrying that bitterness, we don't have that energy available to us to move forward and to grow and to dream and to become our best selves. And so I love that you're bringing that up because I think that that is an essential part of moving forward.
Yeah. And I know when I first started leaning into forgiveness work, I absolutely, there was a big part of me is like, what do you mean forgive the, fill in the blank? There's lots of content there. But the more that I lean into it and do it consistently, exactly what you said, Stacey, I just feel this lightness. I feel this like flow of life energy coming to me. I can look at, things, events, whatever that happened and have a level of peace. Right. And so it's that this thing that happened in the past is no longer controlling my future. I am choosing how to respond to this. I'm choosing how I want to show up to my life.
Yeah. So powerful. Right. And I think it speaks to your whole theme of this podcast is the moment we take responsibility for our own life, the moment we say, I get to decide, we're really claiming our power. And when we're in that victim energy, we're giving our power away. But the moment you say, hey, I'm taking responsibility for my life and the experiences, that's where there's so much energy and power and good that can come from that. Not easy, not always easy.
Yeah. I think about superheroes and they have an origin story. And for me, that was like a big element that really helped looking at some of the experiences in my past to think, what would it be like to actually frame that as an origin story for my best self? Like the phoenix coming out of the ashes.